How to start exercising when you're unfit. How many of us hate exercise? Maybe hate's too much of a strong word. Maybe we just don't enjoy it. For some of us, we've tried it, and for others, we've said we'll do it tomorrow. But you know what? That is not you anymore. You've made the decision to want to start exercising, but you just don't know where to start. Here's what to do. So in this video, I want to help you create the right exercise program for your current levels of fitness and strength. But more importantly, I want to get into the overlooked factors that you should really know if you're serious about getting fit, strong, and healthy AF. This topic is huge in itself. Most of my college degree was this. But to sift through it all, the most important factors that you need to know when you're starting to exercise when you're unfit is total weekly volume and exercise modality. So what does that mean? A lot of us, with myself included, focus on the individual workout itself. It's so easy for us to become fixated on smashing those individual sessions, which only makes us sore and unable to use our legs the next day. To dispel the myth, soreness does not mean you've had a good workout. It just simply means you're not used to it and your body's just trying to adapt. There's actually a bunch of studies that show this. I'll leave it down in the description if you want to read further. So instead of smashing the individual session itself, I always advocate to focus on the macro. And let me just explain why. When starting almost anything, we go too fast, too soon. So let's put this into the perspective of exercise. Let's say cardio. We set ourselves 3 days a week to run around the block. We do it, it feels good. So the next week, we double it, aiming for 2 blocks a week, every single session. That's when it becomes very tough, almost impossible. For some of you, it might be manageable, but if we're coming from a place where we're not very fit, we haven't run for maybe a couple months or years, it's going to be really, really tough. And more importantly, it's not sustainable. The point I'm trying to make is you don't want to program something that's only manageable for a couple of weeks. You want something that actually helps you be consistent for the ongoing habit of exercise. And here's how we can make the right exercise program for you. To avoid burnout or going too fast too soon, you want to aim for steady improvements. Aiming to improve 5 to 10% per week is actually very generous. Some of the top athletes strive so hard just to make 1%. So what exactly is that 5 to 10% improvement? I'm referring to your weekly volume of exercise. Let's go back to the running example. So let's just say that each block is a kilometer in total. So by going 3 times per week, we're hitting 3 kilometers. A 10% improvement for that week would be an extra 300 meters. So if you split that up over the 3 days, that's an extra 100 meters per session. I really hope that made sense. If it didn't, then don't worry, I'll be providing you a link down below, which is a calculator to help you with this. But the point is, although it is a very small tweak, it can lead to a huge improvement, especially in the long term. Now, if you're in the gym, which is almost like everyone, before you actually get into the car and make your way to the gym, hit the subscribe button and hook us up with a like. When you are in the gym, you want to be focusing on how much weight you're actually lifting in the gym with how many reps. But just like the example of running, you want to aim for about a 5 to 10% improvement, especially if you're starting out. If you wanted more in-depth videos on exercise programming, please let me know in the comments down below. But let's talk about the second most important factor. I can't tell you how many times I've tried a new exercise program with all these fancy exercises, only having it to fizzle out and sort of dying. I think it's because I just didn't like the exercises, they're weird. Now, because you're coming from a place where you're not so fit, it's really important for you to find the exercises that you actually enjoy. And this is what I mean by exercise modality. If you hate skipping or maybe you're crap at it, don't do it. Find something that's easy and something that you can't really say no to. For me, it's lifting weights. It's easy, it's methodical, you literally pick things up and put things back down. There are so many ways where you can improve your strength and fitness. Trying different things and experimenting can help big time. The idea is don't be confined to what we think is traditional exercise or what's trending right now. What works for someone else may not work for you. So test, play around with things, find what works. So those are the 2 actionable tips that you can implement straight away. But here are the most important bits. There's a reason why you're unfit, and it's not just because of our lack of exercise. It could be the fact that you're injured, or maybe you just felt like you never had the time. Maybe you're just lazy. If you really want to create meaningful changes in your life and improve how fit or strong you are, it's always a good idea to find out why you're unfit in the first place. It's sort of like shoving things in that drawer that pretty much stores everything. We're telling ourselves that we're cleaning everything up, but in reality, we haven't addressed the issue, which is the unorganized mess. You've changed the look of the workspace, but the mess is still there and it's just waiting to be found. Now let's bring this to the context of exercise. If we haven't addressed the main reason why we're unfit, chances are that whatever caused this will soon come back to haunt us. This topic can be a whole video in itself, but I actually have made a video that goes into some of this, so I do recommend you to check it out if you have the time. But some key questions that I like to ask my clients before actually starting exercise is, why do you think your health is the way it is right now? And when it comes down to being unfit to fit, why is this change so important to you? These are some deep questions, but I want you to really have a think about it. Luckily, I have included a section in that calculator for you to brainstorm and just jot things down. I really recommend you to check it out. Another couple of things that I found to always be overlooked is actually outside of exercise itself. The 4 overlooked factors that can impact your health and fitness are alcohol, smoking, diet, and sleep. These are all some common things that you should really be focusing on, especially when starting to exercise. Alcohol is something that I personally see as unnecessary. I'm not totally against it. There are some studies that do support it in moderation, but what the heck is moderation when you're drinking, right? Ultimately, if you truly think that alcohol isn't helping you with your fitness goals, or maybe you feel like crap afterwards or even hungover, then I do suggest cutting it out or at least limiting it. Smoking is a given. It really messes up your lungs and your wallet too. Get rid of it. Now, diet and sleep, the 2 biggest factors in my opinion. I've been guilty of this too, but I think we all overcomplicate what we need to eat when we start exercising. I think we've all seen that colleague who brings in their little containers with their boiled chicken breast and boiled vegetables, and we automatically think they're on an exercise cleanse or some form of new program. That's been me. And what we eventually end up seeing is them giving in, saying screw it, and having pad thai for lunch. But I think the underlying issue with that is we often over-restrict ourselves when it comes to new diets when starting exercise. I think if we transition from a place of restriction into a place of abundance, it can really help us start exercising and creating that habit. I think if we focus on high quality, unprocessed foods, you can't really go wrong. That way, we're ensuring that we give our body the right nutrients to get fit, stronger, and recover. And more importantly, we feel wholesome AF when we have a nice, clean, fresh meal. Now, what about sleep? There's nothing worse than tossing and turning in bed and realizing it's 4:52 a.m. and having to get up at 6. We're irritable, we get annoyed easily, and our bodies actually aren't as strong and fit anymore. More specifically, it's our time to exhaustion, aka how long we can go for. What's also interesting is that having a 5 to 6 hours sleep affected how our bodies break down and stores food, making you more prone to putting on weight. Changing how much sleep you get can dramatically improve your fitness levels and can make things a lot easier, especially when you're starting a new exercise routine. But as much as quantity of sleep is important, it's also about the quality of sleep. We could be in bed for about 10 hours straight, but if we're constantly getting up or maybe checking your phone in the middle of the night, it's not high quality sleep. I think if we start focusing on our quality of sleep as opposed to quantity, it can really help us as well. So maybe before bed, start reading a book, try not to go on your phone, and maybe develop a nighttime routine. Or that is mentioned in my How to Exercise in the Morning video, shameless plug, and they can all really help. There are so many things to talk about when it comes to starting to exercise when you're unfit. So why do you want to start exercising? Let me know in the comments down below. Bye.